What's up guys, I'm back on YouTube and I'm super hyped to be here. Today we're diving into Marvel Contest of Champions, and not just any video, we're ranking the Cosmic Class champions in an epic tier list episode. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because over 95% of you watching right now aren't subscribed, and it would help me out a ton. Now let's get into the video. Vision Arcus is a good cosmic champion with strong power control thanks to his constant armor break and power gain. He also brings utility on defense with his constant cold snap damage. The problem is his damage ramp can feel a bit slow compared to top-tier cosmic options. He's reliable and good, but not quite on the same level as the best. Next, Adam Warlock is a high-value cosmic because of his game-changing survivability and utility. His unique stasis pod mechanic lets him become nearly untouchable for a short window, drastically reducing damage, instantly regenerating a large portion of incoming damage, and granting strong energy debuff immunities when the pod activates. He also brings disruptive sovereignty effects, taunt while active and an intimidate when the counter finishes, which help control fights. When played with the right timing and a decent signature level, Warlock can turn losing fights into wins, which is why he sits in Tier A. Airwalker looks intimidating with his cosmic energy theme, but in practice he's clunky to play. His ramp-up is too slow, his damage feels inconsistent, and he relies too much on perfect conditions to shine. Because of that, he struggles compared to almost every other cosmic champion, and that's why he's down in mid-tier. Angela is a reliable cosmic champion with constant buffs, solid regeneration, and reduced debuff duration when awakened. She's a very safe option for questing and utility fights, but she doesn't bring the same raw damage as higher-tier cosmics. Good, but not amazing. Annihilus is a defender/rushdown cosmic who thrives off momentum and corner pressure. Thanks to his cosmic control rod, he gains powerful buffs like Fury, Unstoppable, and immunities, allowing him to shift momentum in his favor, but he's weaker when forced into resets or heavy control, which is why he's solid but not top-tier. Even after receiving a buff, Black Bolt still feels underwhelming, his damage output is inconsistent, he relies too much on ramp and crit luck, and he offers almost no real utility compared to modern cosmic champions. In a meta full of champions with strong immunities, power control, and survivability, Black Bolt just can't keep up. Trash tier. Same tier for OG Captain Marvel, even worse, no comment needed. Carnage can stack bleeds and buffs for some big damage, but his ramp up is slow and he struggles badly against bleed-immune opponents. He needs perfect conditions to shine, and that makes him unreliable compared to other cosmics.
CGR is consistently powerful, insane damage, multiple utility debuffs, armor break, incinerate, unblockable windows, and high matchup flexibility. He's proven in long fight solos, questing, and remains a high-value pick for many endgame tasks. Playing Cosmic Ghost Rider is like a choose-your-own adventure of buffs. Different actions trigger different buffs, and buffs cause judgments. Judgments are what Cosmic Ghost Rider is after, as they increase the duration of further buffs, until he consumes his judgments and the loop starts over. Controlling the order Cosmic Ghost Rider's buffs are triggered in is key to getting maximum value out of the high-impact ones, and then combining them with armor breaks to reach max potential. Cosmic Ghost Rider is pure controlled chaos. Master his rotations and you'll steamroll endgame content. He brings big debuffs plus massive damage, which is why he's still a go-to cosmic pick.
The champion has niche durability and can be annoying in certain situations, but overall his kit is outdated. He doesn't hit hard enough and his strengths are too conditional. In today's meta, he's just not competitive with stronger cosmics. Captain Marvel movie is still a good champion who can help a lot on offense with her durability and damage. However, her kit feels outdated compared to newer cosmic champs, and on defense she is easily countered by mystics. Bottom good tier. Corvus Glaive was one of the hardest hitters in the cosmic class when he came out. He shreds through defenses, bypasses autoblock, and his special attacks deal huge burst damage. His glaive charge mechanics and true strike, armor shred style let him convert pressure into big reliable specials. Corvus Glaive does not take damage from cold snap, bleed and shock debuffs while his glaive's immunity is active. Also he is very useful because he can't die as long as glaive's immunity is active, instead of dying, for glaive charges are removed. Still a solid champ to pick. Cull Obsidian just got a strong rebirth buff and now plays like a high damage and utility bruiser. He used to be a good champion, but after his recent rebalance he's even better. His ramp up is now much easier, making him dangerous earlier in fights. He brings amazing utility because he can completely ignore evade and autoblock, and he can even parry non-contact attacks. On top of that, once he stacks a few armor breaks with his heavy attacks and enters route, his damage becomes absolutely insane. That combination of easier setup, strong utility, and massive damage puts him in high tier A. Deathless King Groot is a defensive powerhouse with good regeneration and resistance. He can stay alive through long fights and wear opponents down over time, which makes him very useful in battlegrounds or difficult quest content. On offense though, his damage is slow and doesn't compete with the heavy hitters in higher tiers. He's great for survival and utility, but not a top-tier killer. Drax is just trash, one of the worst champs. Next, Medusa is still one of the most reliable cosmic champions thanks to her armor shatter mechanic, completely shuts down opponents who rely on armor and converts her hits into bleed damage for strong DPS. With her signature ability, she becomes even stronger and harder to counter. The only downside is that against armor immune or bleed immune enemies she loses some of her value. But overall she remains a solid champion for questing and BG. Galen is a brand new 7-star cosmic nuke built around planetary mass. He stacks mass during the fight and converts it into huge burst damage when he uses it. His playstyle rewards landing big heavies and timing your specials. Nature grants him a crazy amount of immunities to effects across the battle realm. This allows him to deal with annoying tech defenders which trigger defensive power lock, drain, burn and special lock. Galen even gains buffs when these immunities trigger with his signature ability. Gamora is an excellent damage dealer because her personal buffs scale over time, giving her stronger offensive windows the longer the fight goes. She has a powerful miss counter and very meaningful ramp that turns her into a late fight monster, consistent, low stress, and deadly in many matchups. Her downside is that she needs time to build stacks, so extremely short fights or heavy reset mechanics hurt her ceiling. Gladiator is a heavy-hitting cosmic attacker with a short but impactful ramp that can be extended to increase his potency even further. Confidence buffs are gained when he hits the opponent with a heavy attack or strikes them when they are intimidated. These increase his attack and armor ratings and unlock new abilities as he crosses certain thresholds. Once these thresholds are crossed, Gladiator gains powerful burst damage effects and fight manipulation abilities that interact with his unblockable and unstoppable effects. A quick break to remind you that, since a video like this takes a lot of time and research, if this video gets 1,500 likes, we'll do the next tier list with whatever class you guys want. Let me know in the comments. Gore is an aggressive champion with a unique set of buffs called Shadow Magic buffs. Shadow Magic allows Gore to inflict a variety of different damaging debuffs, very frequently, and he gains Shadow Magic by striking with his 4th light attack. Proper management of his Shadow Magic will also grant him Fury and Undermine buffs, further increasing his damage and allowing him to bypass autoblock. Gore has easy access to bleed, poison, and shock debuffs. If the opponent is immune to any of these, he inflicts degeneration instead. This makes him well suited to opponents and fights that require one or more of these debuffs. Finally, his special attack 3 is the God Bomb, and its damage scales up for every individual damaging debuff on the opponent, to very high levels. Champions with Nullify and Neutralize abilities, or who shorten the duration of buffs, will make it much harder for him to maintain his Shadow Magic, and his damage output will suffer greatly. Groot sits at the bottom of the tier list. His kit is outdated, he doesn't bring meaningful damage or utility, and in today's meta he simply can't compete with modern champions. Heimdall is higher in the tier list mainly because of his synergy which helps prevent knockouts. I can't forget the days I played Abyss that synergy used to be incredibly handy. Hela has some niche utility, but her ramp is slow and her damage is inconsistent. And now one of the Forgotten Kings, Hercules. At one point, everyone wanted this hero because of his amazing utility and damage. He can activate True Sense on his special attack 1, allowing him to bypass autoblock and miss, plus big damage SP2 and stun. Signature ability gives him a chance to avoid death once per fight. This can be a major saving grace in high-stress situations. Over time, Mcoc released champions that started to counter him, but even today he remains a phenomenal champion. Now we have the second Forgotten King, Hulkling, one of the champions that really made me love hitting into the opponent's block. He excels at dealing damage through the opponent's block and penetrating their armor. He builds up shapeshift charges over time, which he can convert into a variety of different buffs depending on the situation. Careful management of these buffs will allow him to periodically go unblockable, and with proper timing will also significantly enhance the fury buffs he gains from his special attacks resulting big numbers. Hulkling has a wide variety of immunities. He is immune to poison, shock, power drain, power steal, and power burn. Additionally, whenever one of these immunities prevents an effect, Hulkling gains a shapeshift charge. Also he gains a very potent fury buffs from his special attack too. Even though many champions have started countering him through Neutralize, he's definitely still a top option, both offensively and defensively. Next up, the Triple H champion.
Time to play the game!
Hyperion. Even though almost 10 years have passed, he's still a beast when it comes to raw attack and brute strength. Thanks to the furies he gains with heavy attacks and his rapid power gain, he makes battles, whether short or long, feel like child's play. Kamala is just bad, so bad. Ikari's does bring some good things to the table on defense, like power detonation, a very annoying special 2, solid incinerates and shock immunity, but beyond that, I don't really see him fitting anywhere else in this tier list. King Groot is basically just the distant cousin of Deathless King Groot, and honestly, even more useless. Scream is a potent cosmic attacker with useful defensive potential who uses her symbiote to thrash her opponents. Scream can gain a lot of unique buffs, making her quite friendly to content that challenges or scales with unique buff count. After consuming a Madness passive, Scream gains the ability to auto-block basic attacks for 5 seconds, providing a potent layer of security. Couple this with her hybrid bulwark buffs, and the regeneration buffs unlocked in her signature ability, to further emphasize her sturdiness. Opponents of Scream will suffer frequent armor breaks, doubly so if they happen to be bleed immune. With Scream's signature ability, tech champions also suffer significantly reduced ability accuracy to their armor up effects. So, if the opponent manages to get an armor up effect, they won't have it for long.
Surely Serpent is the hero that almost made me quit the game when he appeared. The complexity of this hero is unimaginable even to this day. A true beast both defensively and offensively. What more could you wish for? The Serpent aims to shatter his opponent's will by chasing them across the field and breaking them against the wall. Use his power gain abilities to throw frequent special attacks and break your opponent's block to crush them faster. The Serpent is very hard to kill. Between his increased base armor rating, his mitigation of critical hits and burst damage, and his signature ability, he can outlast most opponents, buying himself time to finish the job. You can run, but you can't hide. The Serpent is the first champion with true focus, an ability that prevents the opponent from evading or causing attacks to miss. It's possible for an attacking Serpent to have this buff active for nearly the entire fight, and eventually he begins to deal damage to opponents bold enough to even attempt such cowardly abilities. Primordial Kit. Strong early power gains over time, true focus, power immunity effects, and a notable death immunity mechanic that lets him soak damage while he builds. He also has strong control/utility that punishes mistakes, and that's why I made him my first rank 4 champion.
Superior Iron Man's new kit is attacker first. Stack as many buffs as you can and deal massive damage while doing so. Play aggressive and see him glow with 8 different unique buffs, intercept with ease with auto block, and shut down pesky projectile attacks with the all-new instinct buff. Chase up to 43 buffs at once for insane damage. Also included in this new and improved suit is a massive amount of dot, resistance to bleed, incinerate and shock. Odin is the underdog of the A tier, because many players think he's just a support champion, but he can actually be a real attacker too. He taps into his Odin Force to gain a variety of powerful buffs, improving his other abilities for each of his unique buffs, also takes advantage of bulkier opponents by scaling his damage with his opponent's max health. To strengthen himself, Odin can enter Odin Sleep between fights to receive bonus buffs. He can grant Asgardian relics to his allies. Odin has access to many unique buffs for him and his allies which can last for the entire fight. This makes him great for paths where unique buffs are key. Primary damage source is direct damage that scales with his opponent's max health. This gives him a much easier time against tanky opponents with large health stats, aka Necropolis. Null is a good champion both defensively and offensively. His attacks inflict substantial instant bleeds, greatly boosting his damage while the opponent is corrupted. He can also remove armor up buffs with the combination of armor break and living abyss debuffs. He is a solid option for long fights and general good in short fights. Also in BG defense he will do the job. The combination of bleed and poison immunity, plus degeneration, reverse controls, and unavoidable attacks, makes Null very versatile and easy to pick up. The true master of the trash tier is Maestro. Get it? Joining him in the trash tier is none other than blonde hair Marvel Cap. I don't have much to say about Nova other than the fact that he's a pretty mediocre champion both offensively and defensively. But man, that auto block and energize can be really annoying. I like Phoenix rework. Once she gets going, Phoenix's rate of application and uptime for incinerates is truly good. After throwing a few special attacks, she can apply incinerates in the triple digits in under half a minute. She herself is also immune to incinerate. Special attack 1 grants her a high potency power gain buff that rockets her up towards her special attack 2. Through the special echo mechanic, this power gain grows in strength, even allowing her to use 2 special attack 2s back to back. The only downside is that Phoenix doesn't have much recourse against opponents who are immune to her incinerates except to slowly gain fury buffs and regenerate.
The Deathless Titan is a relentless ball of destruction. He gains specials more quickly, gets easy access to openings with counterpunch, ramps up with big furies, and shatters his opponent's armor all while healing off their pain. He also taxes Corrosion, a new damaging effect that hurts even more when the opponent's armor is reduced. Thanos has big yellow numbers, big orange numbers, and big red numbers. While he's at his best when he has access to all of his various damage sources, it's pretty difficult to stop him from doing more damage than the average champ. The Mad Titan is also hard to kill. Between his massive health pool, above average armor rating, his protection mechanic, and his regeneration, Thanos is very good at staying in a fight on either side of the battlefield. Deathless Thanos isn't just a burst champ. His necrotic energy plus energize creates a steady, growing damage engine that wrecks long fights. With a ranked SIG, he becomes borderline unavoidable on defense and a nightmare to collapse on offense, and that's why I put him as my number 1. Dark Phoenix has a lot of effects that help with both her damage and survivability. There are things like her Ember charges, which increase the potency of her Nova Flame. Also her Fury, increasing her attacks, and in some cases, improving her Nova Flame as an attacker. These help ramp up her damage numbers over time, as they require build-up. Effects like Safeguard, Unstoppable, and Immortality help bolster her defensive abilities, allowing her to draw out the fight if not dealt with properly. Safeguard and Unstoppable can be more of a constant threat, where Immortality only triggers once upon dealing her what would be a knockout blow. Even though the people from Mcoc have started releasing counters for Dark Phoenix, such as Nico Minoru, I still consider her a top defender who can cause you trouble if you don't have a good counter.
The double T, Thanos and Thor, go straight into the trash tier. Maybe Thor was top tier 10 years ago, but these days, in high-end content, he just can't keep up. Spider-Man symbiote, just no. Venom the Duck grows stronger with each fight during the quest. As he builds up buffs in his RNA bank, he will begin each fight stronger and stronger. By the end of a long quest, Venom the Duck should have all 10 buffs stored, which will allow him to quickly work his way through tough enemies and stay alive. Do you believe in the power of the Duck? Ronan is one of the oldest champions in the game, being around for more than 11 years. Even though his kit is outdated, he still finds a place in certain matchups thanks to his ability to punish buff-heavy opponents with stuns. He's niche, but not completely forgotten. Venom is a top-tier cosmic because his kit turns enemy buffs into damage and sustain, can ignore the passive evade common to Spider-Verse heroes, can gain true strike and unblockable special attacks to counter many champions with auto-block or evade, plus armor-up buffs to counter Havoc plasma detonation, and let's not forget all the bleed he inflicts on his opponents. He's a safe choice for fights against buff-heavy champions, and not just in the cosmic class. I haven't really seen anyone talk or play Proxima since her release. She can be useful for new players who don't have many strong champions, but in the late game her kit feels very mediocre compared to modern cosmics. Beta Ray Bill is top tier because of the insane potential he shows in long fights. When played correctly, he can deal up to 1.5 million damage, which is just crazy. He's also solid in shorter fights, making him very versatile. On top of that, he's immune to power drain and shock, has an on-demand grit buff that lets him bypass unstoppable, and he takes reduced damage from poison and bleed. The only real downside is that shock immunity blocks his main source of damage, which can limit him in some matchups. From my point of view, Terex is a good choice for offense in certain matchups, but at his core he's really more of a defensive champion thanks to his rock field stacks and indestructibility. What I really like about him are the immunities he brings to the table, shock and bleed effects due to his rocky body, power drain, power steal, power burn, power lock, and enervate effects from #metal champions due to his control over rock and earth. Cersei is mainly a defensive champ, has access to potent and on-demand glancing buff which provides strong damage reduction, critical hit resistance, and ability accuracy reduction. Pair this with a very potent regeneration and Cersei becomes a very hard-to-kill champion. Cersei's kit allows her to benefit from the presence of armor-ups and also has the ability to ignore armor and resistances with true damage. Champions that are able to play staggers or fate seals before Cersei's glancing buff activates can easily turn the tables on her. Silver Surfer's gameplay is focused on creating and maintaining as many unique buffs as possible. Each unique buff increases his on-hit energy damage and enables him to create new powerful buffs when launching special attacks. Each Incinerate, Cold and Sap, or Shock debuff on Silver Surfer deals 100% reduced damage and counts as a unique buff for his abilities, greatly increasing his potential damage output. Also each unique buff deals a burst of energy damage on hit. Nullify, Fate Seal, and Stagger abilities will shut down Silver Surfer. If players can keep him below 3 unique buffs, most of his potent abilities will never trigger. Red Goblin's gameplay is centered around comboing into special attacks with different basic attacks to generate buffs. For each Fury buff on Red Goblin, his Carnage Bombs apply 1 armor break. If Red Goblin stacks only Fury buffs, he can easily strip away any armor-up buffs on his opponents. Buffs are removed, he launching a special 3, or dropping his opponent through a health threshold. Red Goblin gains a very long duration True Sense, preventing the activation of miss or auto-block abilities. Also Spider-Verse champions have minus 100% passive evade ability accuracy. Red Goblin's buffs are critical to fuel his kit. If his won't be able to apply any debuffs. Venom Pool is more of a troll champion with only a few niche uses. Super Skrull is generally a hero that I see more in a defensive role than an offensive one. He definitely has his usefulness on offense thanks to the Incinerate he applies. However, he doesn't really excel in either offense or defense. He does have a useful immunity to Shock and Incinerate, has a lot of buffs, can apply Falter and has a very annoying special too. If we were to make a ranking based on how good the heroes look in the game, Vox would definitely win by far. Vox's corrupted buffs can be converted into numerous degenerations using his special attacks. These degenerations are special in that they grow stronger with each passing second they remain on the opponent. This means that by the end of their duration they will be dealing some truly massive damage. Vox's superinhuman physiology grants them immunity to poison, power burn, power drain, power lock, and special lock. His damage output depends on stacking degeneration debuffs on the opponent. If those degeneration debuffs are removed by Purify type mechanics, a lot of his damage potential is lost. Vox relies heavily on corrupted buffs. If those are removed or nullified, not only does he lose much of his power, but he also takes a chunk of damage, because his corrupted buffs are unstable.
Carolina's core gameplay is heavily focused on the sun. The sun shines down in different locations across the stage. Standing in it grants Carolina iridescence buffs which she can consume to activate her abilities. Standing in the sun also grants Carolina additional power and unblockable specials. These abilities combined with her long-range special animations lead to gameplay revolving around chasing the sun to melt away the competition. Carolina has access to some incredibly powerful incinerates that deal extra powerful burst damage during her special attacks. These can shred through opponents efficiently and quickly, just like a bright red supernova. Carolina's block consumes her personal iridescence buffs to cause hits to glance. Carolina's glance specifically reduces damage by a large amount in exchange for lower ability accuracy reduction, allowing her to tank frankly ridiculous amounts of special damage. When Carolina gets her tan on, she gains power. With this excess power, she can throw more specials for incredible damage. Alternatively, she can hide away in the sun to gain power without striking the enemy if the situation calls for it. Carolina Dean wins fights by never letting them get out of hand. Healing, steady power control, and strong immunities make her invaluable. She's one of the best utility cosmic champions in the game.
And that was my tier list for the cosmic champions. Remember, this is just my opinion. It's not meant to influence anyone. At the end of the day, any champion in the game can be great if you enjoy playing. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps me a lot. I'll see you in the next video.